Hello, welcome to a race report for the Highland Trail 550 bikepacking race, which finished a few days ago. Let's have a little look at the Highland Trail website. Now, if you've seen my preview video for the Highland Trail race, you will know a little bit about it. If you haven't seen that already, go check it out. I've ridden it a few times myself. I've got loads of video of the kind of trails you'll see. So yeah, go check that out and you can get a bit more insight into this. But in the meantime, I'm going to run through what happened on the race with the tracker. And I've got loads of photos off the Instagram of Alan Goldsmith, who actually organises the race. He was unable to race this year. He unfortunately got bitten by a dog, as you can see from this post here. First time ever he won't be riding it. But that's our gain, because he was out there taking photos of riders on the course. So we can have a look at his photos and follow the tracker and have a bit of a report and see what's going on. So without further ado, I'll get on with it. So the Highland Trail starts in Tyndrum in Scotland, in the Scottish Highlands, and Tyndrum is the most southerly point of the route, and it always starts outside the Real Food Cafe. The local community always get behind the race, and Alan's really done a great job of fostering the community over the years. And another great thing he does, he's always very proactive in getting a 50-50 male-female split in the field, and this year they managed it, and so you can see half the field are men, half of the field are women. That's really great to see. And so this was the shot outside the cafe. A few riders here. There's Myron Golfman, Sofian Sahili. Obviously, many of you will know his name. Alex McCormack, maybe not so well known, but by the end of this report, you'll surely know who he is. There's characterised there as well. Plenty of riders. Kerry, I think that's Kerry MacPhee. That's Quinder. All the kind of the usual faces. Alan there as well. Usual faces, and some new faces as well on the start line, and a guest rider as well, which is kind of cool to see the next generation being inspired. Let's have a little look at the tracker. It was on Track Leaders. To be honest, this is my favourite. It just reminds me of watching the Tour Divide years ago and the early TCRs and things like that. It's nice and simple, and it works for me. So yeah, as you can see, I'll zoom out a little bit, and you can see, let's zoom out all the way just to give you a bit of context of where this race takes place. In the far north of Scotland, so it starts in Tyndrum. As you can see, the start finish here, where the Real Food Cafe is, and essentially it comprises of 3 loops. Southern loop, the middle loop, and the northern loop. If you've seen my preview, as I said, that I'll go into a bit more detail with video, and you can see exactly the kind of terrain these riders are taking on. But in the meantime, let's press play on this and kind of see what happens. Now, you're not going to see very much early on, and the first part of the Highland Trail race, it's very fast rolling. It's basically gravel, very few mountain bike trails, and until you get to Fort Augustus, which is the first join point here, it doesn't really mean much. The dots don't mean much, but you can see early on Alex McCormack got a big gap, and this first point here is Corrie Pass, and Alan happened to be up there with his camera, so we'll have a look at his photos in a second. But that first, you're normally getting here kind of in the evening, sort of 5, 6, 7 p.m. Oh, no, 4 p.m. They're going fast this year, so 4, 5, 6. I'm normally there about 5, 6 p.m. So Alex was there first. Thomas Bourret, and who else did we have? Philippe. I can't remember his surname. I've raced him in Atlas before. And everyone else is kind of spread around. Sofian's in there. I think that's Kerry MacPhee, the leading female, just behind Sofian's dot there. And so yeah, basically you can't really tell too much, as always, as you probably know if you've watched any of my videos at this early stage. But let's fire over to Alan's Instagram. He caught a few photos of the riders early on there. So there's Alex. So Alex, I did mention him in my preview. He had to go at the Highland Trail last year. Led early on and was right up there, but had to pull out because he basically slashed both tyres and was unable to repair them. I think this year he was out for a vengeance. He'd already won the Dales Divide earlier this year, and you can see he's running a super lightweight bike setup. Probably taking a few risks with gear, one might say. But I mean, he's young and confident, and he knows what he's doing. So I think I did the same thing in TCRs a long time ago, and I'd never do the same thing again. So yeah, it's the confidence of youth there. So Alex on Corey Eric Pass, first one over, set out hard with a big gap. This is Philippe. I think, see if we can get a better photo, but you can see that Corey Eric Pass is characterised by these switchbacks and the power lines. And interestingly, he's got a similar setup to the one he used in the Atlas a couple of years back. Basically, he doesn't really have bike packing bags. He just chucks a massive backpack on his back and just like rides his bike like it's a marathon race or something like that. So he's a strong rider, a good mountain biker, but as of yet a bit unproven in these longer bike packing events. That's Thomas Bouret. Thomas, he was actually third in the Atlas mountain race earlier this year. He's a very determined chap, and he really does go to all measures. Attention to detail is his thing. So he was right up there with Philippe as well. So Thomas is from France. So yeah, that was a solid start from those guys. And then further down the field, there's Ben Staubout. I mean, I think he did the Highland Trail back in 2015 when I did it. So he's been around a long time. Solid start from him. Lucas, I can't pronounce his surname very easily, so I'm going to avoid embarrassing myself and him. Max Rice, I know Max fairly well. Stayed with him in Kyrgyzstan last year. Before the Silk Road Mountain Race, seen him at many events. He runs the gravgrav.cc website, so go and check that out if you're kind of want to find some good gravel routes in Central Europe. And yeah, so that's I'm not sure, that must be Alex B. I'll have to check the exact name on the tracker. There's Myron. So he's actually he's won the Colorado Trail Race and the Iditarod Trail Invitational twice now. So yeah, he's a super strong rider, really good mountain biker, and just as hard as they come. So a bit of rain in Scotland isn't going to be phasing him. And again, a bit of a steady start, 8th place over Corey Eric. But it doesn't really matter in the first part of Highland Trail because it doesn't really start till Bilac Horn. If you see my preview, you'll know that. And then we've got Kerry MacPhee. She's actually local. I think I don't know. She lives in Scotland for sure. So she knows all these trails. Really strong mountain biker. And this is a mountain bike race, so those skills really do come in. There's Andrew Hutchinson. I think I've raced with him before. Sofian Sahili, now he had a real slow start. It turns out actually his free hub was rubbing. I think he assembled it wrong after the flight. Even the most experienced guys can make silly mistakes sometimes, so that slowed him down the first day. So yeah, you can see on the tracker that he was a little way back than what you might expect compared to normal. So that was kind of the first day really, and then you head into the first night. As you're heading north, so let's run the tracker again if I can hit the play button properly, and you can see it's again early days, fast rolling. The gaps are kind of settling a little bit here, but until you get to the far north, nothing is really going to change. See, Alex got the gap, nothing really changed too much, and a bit of mixing around here, but the riders will be going to the first night here. Alex didn't stop, just rode straight through, and that kind of is a good tactic in some ways because it means you can get a big gap. You don't lose any time. It depends if you can handle it later on. If you're doing a fast time, like a record breaking time, 3 days or so, then you can definitely kind of get away with it, and you can see most of the guys behind end up stopping, and Alex extended his gap as he got onto the northern loop and towards Bilac Horn. And now Bilac Horn is where this thing really kicks off. It's a first major hiker bike. It's an absolute brute. And I know Alex is quick on his feet as well. It can be boggy as well, and it sounds like it was very wet out there. It's been a really wet spring in the UK. So yeah, it was. It would have been tough conditions. And you can see by this point, Alex has really got a gap. Thomas Bouret into second, and it kind of looks like things might be, settling into a pattern now. So Sofian's moved up. Myron's around somewhere as well, and you see Kerry is still leading the women's race and in a solid top 10 overall as well. Let's head back over to Alan's Instagram, see what updates he had. So he caught Alex at Oikle Bridge, So Oakle Bridge is a hotel. See, Oakle Bridge Hotel. I've been fallen in there many a time and got resupply. It's a classic place. And by this point, Philip has scratched. I'm not quite sure why he scratched. Maybe it was bike damage, or maybe he just realised that it's wet and horrible in Scotland. So this is Philip just in the Oakle Bridge Hotel. That is, who is that? Must be Katja. And yeah, see everyone just resupplying in the hotel. Just for reference, on the map, Oakle Bridge is on this join here somewhere. You pass it twice, so it'll be pretty much around this point here. So yeah, it's a good resupply if you need it. And yeah, once you've done that northern loop, it's kind of starting to kick off a little bit. One of the big challenges is the Leadmore Traverse. So this section before Leadmore Junction, and you can see that by this point, Alex had a really big gap. It was looking like it was almost his to lose by halfway through. Thomas went off hard. I did speak to him after, and he said he went out really hard trying to sort of break the pack a bit. Sometimes that plays off, sometimes it doesn't. And you can see Sofian got going again. Sofian in third place here. But there's lots of people kind of like mixing around. Myron's straight up there as well. He's a really good technical mountain biker. So unsurprisingly, once they got into the more technical stages of the race, guys like Myron, who have the mountain bike skills, really came through strongly. So yeah, this is Leadmore. You can see how beautiful it is. I mean, it's beautiful to look at. It's not so beautiful to trudge your bike through. It's kind of like an on and off kind of, you're on your bike, you're off your bike. It can be boggy. It can be hard to follow the trail. If a cloud comes down, it's really difficult. So it's a challenging spot, and you normally end up getting caught out in the dark there as well. Certainly kind of if you're going on like 3.5-4 day pace. So you can see here the riders coming through just at sunset. There's Thomas. Looks like he's kind of he's still looking pretty strong there. But I mean, Scotland's beautiful. Just look at that. It's a real privilege to get to ride the Highland Trail. And it's almost better when it's moody and rainy as well, to be honest. Last year it was sunny, and it felt like we were kind of shortchanged a little bit, not getting the full-on Scottish weather. So let's just go on to the tracker. So you can see here that you go through Leadmore. I'll zoom in a bit, and then the next sort of big resupply. Once you're through Leadmore, it's relatively straightforward through here. You go over some kind of open terrain, but it's not too bad. And Ullapool is probably the biggest town on the route, certainly in the north. And Alex got there first, got some resupply and carried on pretty quickly. Thomas still in second. Sofian's in third as well. And you can see this chase pack now. It's pretty close. There's nothing to split them. Leadmore's fairly slow. It's probably 3-4 hours to get through there, I suspect. So these riders here are spread over 3 or 4 hours. And further back, you can see everything's just spread out further down the way. We've got Zoe and who else was there? Jenny Tuff, sort of battling it out for second and third in the women's race. Again, solid, just on the edge of the top 10 overall, and racing real hard. And then after Ullapool, things start to get remote. So you're into Fisherfield. There's a coffin road. It's an absolutely brutal hiker bike up. It's just grim. It really is grim. For reference, Angus Young, who set the FKT, slept on the Coffin Road last year. So Alex is here about 10 p.m. and he pushed through into Fisherfield. Now Fisherfield is the most remote place in the UK. He would have done most of that in the dark, and there is a bothy in the middle there. So I had a chat with him. I've got a video to show you later, and he ended up getting to the bothy, and there was a fire lit in there, so he had a nice warm sleep. I mean, you kind of make your own luck on these sometimes, and it really did fall lucky for him there. So you'll probably see his dot pause very soon. There's a brutal hiker bike in Fisherfield. There's a river crossing. In actual fact, the bothy is after the river crossing, so it would have given him a chance to dry some stuff out, especially if the fire was there. So you can see he stopped. Thomas stopped in Ullapool. I suspect everything was shut there, so he probably slept in a doorway or something. Sofian pushing through. Myron's there, and Lucas up there as well. So we're really getting kind of a solid top 5 now. And Kerry's just stopped at Leadmore Junction as well, so she's still leading the women's race significantly. Alex, wow, he gets through there nice and easy, over the Tolly path, which is just sucks. I hate it. And again, at this point, he's cleared a lot of the big sections. Over Torridon, again, really big ticket section, big mountain bike descent. But once you've done that, you feel like you're on the home leg now. You can see here Myron came through really strongly through Fisherfield. Again, good mountain biking sections. He's a strong guy. Sofian just keeping consistent, and but still Alex way out ahead. So let's have a little look at Alan's Instagram. Look at some other photos. So there's a little single track descent into Ullapool. So this is Myron and Marone. So Alan caught him early on, and that's Ullapool down the bottom there. It's a nice little single track descent. Probably better when you're fresh, not so good when you've just ridden 2 days without any sleep. But yeah, I mean, Scotland is beautiful. A little fishing port, totally isolated, really, really nice. So it really is a lovely place. And then more riders coming through, so we'll just flick through them and see what state. There's Ben. Is that Kerry? That's Kerry again. And you can see it's looking kind of fairly dry. There's a few puddles on some of these tracks, but a lot of it is fast rolling, so if there's a bit of wind it dries off quick enough, but then some bits are just boggy and you're just going to be slow going. It's going to suck. There's Max, and these guys, Donnie and Richie. So actually it's not really related to the race that much, but Donnie runs a garden machinery business on the Isle of Skye, and a few years back I was working in the similar industry. We ended up on a dealer camp at the Stihl factory in Germany, and we realised that we kind of had a connection over this. So yeah, it's good to see Donnie out there. They go out there and they camp out every year and give riders whiskey. I did see them last year, but I think they drank too much whiskey and fallen asleep by the time I got there. So a big shout out to those guys for supporting the race and giving riders free whiskey. And here we are, Oiklebridge Hotel again. A classic place on the Highland Trail. Again, more Ullapool. So there's Zoe. She was probably second or third at this point, heading into Ullapool and down the single track. Again, the weather looks like it's closed in. It is Scotland, and it's not a real Highland Trail without some rain. That's Jenny. Is that Jenny Tough? It looks like it is. And one thing as well, these gorse bushes, if you rub them when you're going down that descent, it really hurts, and you can get gorse in your leg, and it takes days for it to come out again. The other thing about Ullapool, there's a big Tesco's, key resupply. You can see Zoe and Katja resupplying in the Tesco's. We've all been there and done that. It's one of the big places to get a good amount of food. Resupply is tricky on the Highland Trail. But anyway, let's go back to the dots and follow in. So by this point, 6 p.m, Alex is really motoring. There's a big hiker bike up here. And then you're pretty much onto the southern loop, back into Fort Augustus, stop in the Londis and get a resupply for there on time. I think Alex said he slept in the toilets, so he would have been there. Yeah, he was there around midnight. So had a quick kip in the public toilets before pushing on to the finish. That's some seriously fast time. And again, Thomas slowed down a little bit. Myron catching up. And Sofian a little further back. I think Sofian had some issues with a cut tyre, so he really had to nurse it home in the end. It kind of took him out of the contention for chasing that podium spot. But yeah, it's by this point you really are nailed, and Myron actually caught up with Thomas. And once you get through Fort Augustus, it's actually quite flat on this section here. It's down by the canal paths, so you can see the two of them. They're basically neck and neck. And then it's just a final push, a drag race down the Highland Trail. By this point, Alex has got it wrapped up. He just needed to bring it home, and he did, and set a new FKT by 4 hours. So let's head over to good old Alan's Instagram again. So here we go. Alex finishing it off in the rain, only suitable, the only way to finish a Highland Trail. So he finished it in 3 days, 5 hours, 33 minutes, which is utterly ridiculous, and a hell of an achievement. I think the best I've done is just under 4 days, which is a solid time. I think that's kind of, if you can get under four days on the Highland Trail, you're doing good. If you're getting closer to 3 days, then it's absolutely ridiculous. So Alex, still young, relatively new to this kind of world of ultra racing. He's going to be a real talent to watch. There is a difference between like a 3 day effort and say like a 7, 8, 9, 10 day effort. But but he's got the motor and he's getting the experience. So I think further down the line he'll be one to watch in these bigger races. So it's great to see the kind of the next generation of talent coming through. And Thomas came in second. So yeah, the pub in Tyndrum, getting some food. You get free dinner as well at the Real Food Cafe. Makes it all worthwhile, obviously. Smashing yourself for 4 days to get free fish and chips. That's what it's all about. It's probably the biggest prize actually in bikepacking, because you don't get much else anywhere else. So yeah, they brought it home. But just a point on the finish there. So you may remember Thomas and Myron really went head to head in the finish here. I spoke to Myron the other day, and yeah, he was saying like Thomas was really, really pushing hard, and they both dug in very deep there going down Glencoe. And then suddenly, like, you see there, Marone's just jumped to the finish. And we all thought he came second, but in actual fact, he ended up in hospital. So he had, I was chatting to him the other day, and he's saying he really struggles with holding electrolytes and salts in his body. And essentially he dehydrated himself and started having some kidney issues, and ended up passing out with like 10k, 7 miles left to go in the race, and ended up in Glasgow in the hospital, which wasn't really, I mean, it's not ideal, is it? Especially after traveling all the way from Alaska to take part. But what a strong ride that was anyway. So yeah, unfortunately Marone didn't finish enjoying the classic hospital lunch there. So yeah, this is what it says. So the muscles released a toxin that shut down the kidneys. Well, I'm not going to be able to say that. So yeah, unfortunately he had to scratch, which kind of sucks for him and the race as well. But it meant Thomas came in second. As you can see, the leaderboard here, Lucas came in third, Sofian came in fourth, Andrew Hutchinson fifth. And then Kerry MacPhee, she was the leading woman. What a strong ride. She was just shy of Lee Craigie's record time. A few hours, I think, but very close to it, and a really solid ride, under 4 days as well, which is a rapid time on a Highland Trail 550. So yeah, 3 days, 23:18. I don't think I've even gone that fast before. So yeah, it was pretty impressive. So word on Kerry, that was a great ride. And then the riders kept kind of rolling in. Our second and third women, Zoe and Jenny, they actually finished together. Joint 18th place and second women overall. I saw a post on Jenny's Instagram. Basically, they said they kind of crisscrossed each other so much during the race. They just decided at the end they're not going to bother racing. They're just going to come in together and enjoy the trail, which is really cool to see. So yeah, so that was the podium completed. So before I finish, I've just got a little video from Alex. He just sent me a bit of a kind of a rundown of his race. So I'll run that now before I finish. So here we go. Here's Alex.
Hey there, Josh. Quick video just about a bit of a race debrief. But yeah, so I went into this one with my eye on the FKT, which I didn't know if it was going to be possible with the winter we've had. It's been so wet. But yeah, I was pleased to see the ground conditions were pretty good. So I sort of pushed on through the first night to get to Wellerpool. Hopefully in time for a resupply, which I managed. Got a big old portion of fish and chips there, which is my poison. So yeah, couldn't say no. So I had a sit-down meal and fish and chips. And yeah, from there, no sleep on the first night. Managed to get to Chenaval Bothy in the Fisherfield Basin. I'm pretty lucky there. The guys that were in there had the fire on, nice and warm. So yeah, I managed to get a pretty cosy 2.5 hours on the second night, which was pretty successful really. And then yeah, pushed on to Fort Augustus from there. Sort of got through all the sections that wrote me off last year. Played it pretty safe, to be honest. Rode pretty conservative. So yeah, happy with how it went. And yeah, bit of kip in Fort Augustus in the public toilet there, which was far from glamorous, but it got the job done, and it meant I could push on to the finish in the time that I was hoping. I think I lost a little bit towards the end, just playing it safe, making sure I could finish it off. But all in all, very happy with how the race went. I had a plan of timings, and I hit them pretty much within an hour of all the way around. So yeah, happy to pull that one off, and it was one I had to go deep for. So yeah, cheers for the sport.
So there we have it. That's my report on the Highland Trail 550. FKT set again by Alex McCormack, Kerry MacPhee, sub 4 days to take the women's win. Yeah, great racing again. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and catch you in the next one.